Welcome back to this episode of the A to Z Across LC podcast. Jeff Alsman here, Cody Zipman here as well. And we're joined now by Jessica Noble, who is a professor of criminal justice here on the campus of Lewis and Clark College. Jessica, welcome to the program and congratulations on what we hear has been a recent promotion from associate professor to professor. So congratulations on that.
Thank you.
What's after professor?
Nothing.
Oh, that's the highest.
That's the highest.
Sound like
go.
a program coordinator, doctor.
Oh, well, I already do that. But.
Okay. Oh,
other duties as assigned.
other duties as
Remember what you said?
yes. Gotcha. Cool.
So the only thing left is like
retirement.
Oh, nice.
I mean, that's a ways away, but yes.
I was thinking like president or something like that.
Oh no.
Down the road somewhere. Or something.
VP.
VP?
Dean.
Yeah, Dean. Does that work or that? No.
Dean. No.
I'm good. Thank
No,
you.
you
I love the classroom.
She's over here. She's going.
No.
You have to. Yeah, you have to actually talk. Although, actually, you probably don't because it is on video. But it works better if you do both.
I prefer the classroom, to be honest.
Good answer.
I love interacting with students.
Awesome. Right. Well, congratulations on being being appointed professor. So is that how does that happen? Well, I don't mean how does it happen that you got to be professor.
I knew.
I just mean in general. How does that happen?
So it's a pretty lengthy process. There's a sort of like an application / portfolio that you complete. Now it's digital, so it's all through Blackboard. And then the committee meets, and you have to prove 3 areas of effectiveness: teaching, scholarship, and community involvement.
Oh,
so you have to have a certain sections, enough information in each one to prove that you have done.
So you can't just walk right out of college with your degree and walk right into being a professor.
Not here. You cannot.
Okay, so it's kind of like rookie ball. You have A ball, B ball, triple A.
Then you're in the show.
Then you're in the show.
Yeah.
So now you're in the show.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yes.
Wow.
So 13 years I worked from.
How many steps? And there's like what?
You can go all the way from associate instructor all the way to professor, and I started an instructor and then just kind of
worked
my way up.
Is that a relatively average amount of time? Or is that
I think
quickly?
So.
Or?
I think so. I think at the university level it's a little bit different because you have to prove that you've done research and published.
Oh, okay.
But we don't do that at the community college level as much. It's not a requirement, so we get to kind of do more in the classroom than say research if you don't want to.
Cody, you're publishing, I think, right? Aren't you doing like the sports guidelines book in your department or something like that?
Yes. It's called an athletic handbook.
Well, it's still going to be published. So, hey, I'll proofread it for you if you need me to.
I will. It's probably going to come your way within a couple of weeks, dear Jeff, on the athletics team.
Oh, my goodness. So let's talk criminal justice. What goes on? Do you teach people how to become policemen and women, sheriffs, all of that? Is it that type of stuff, law enforcement?
Yes. So there's actually 3 areas of criminal justice. There's courts, corrections, and police. And then there's this wide variety of things that kind of just don't really mesh into one. My background is juvenile probation. So before I came to Lewis and Clark, I was a juvenile probation officer for kids that were delinquency cases and abuse and neglect. I kind of did both. And then I was a social worker in St. Louis before I got hired at Lewis and Clark in 2011. So my husband, I'm married to a police officer. I went to school. Both my degrees are in criminal justice. And a lot of the people that I went to school with do a variety of jobs. So you have everything from, the Department of Corrections, which would be like our Graham, Southwestern Illinois Correctional Center, people that work inside a facility. Then you have the people that supervise those outside of the facility. And then you have people who arrest, people who, do the K-9, the SWAT, the kind of some stuff that might be a little more exciting, I guess. Not exciting, but
specialized,
and it looks more exciting on TV, even though it's a very stressful job.
The TV show job.
Yes. And then you have the people who work with kids, and the people who work in the courts. And as far as the courts go, you have your lawyers, you have court clerks, you have your bailiff, all those individuals, paralegals, legal assistants. I mean, there's so many jobs that are there.
I always thought it would be fun to be a lawyer.
You don't get arguing?
I am. You don't get a very good reputation, but it seems like it would be kind of neat.
some of my favorite professors in school were lawyers.
Oh,
so
okay.
they really
So you
teach how to
mentioned
think.
your husband being an officer.
Yeah.
What department? We should give a shout out.
Yeah, he works for St. Louis County Police Department.
Okay, cool.
He's in the Commercial Motor Vehicles Enforcement Unit. So he inspects big trucks
Oh,
now,
cool.
but he was on patrol for 13 years.
Do you feel like, Cody, like we kind of should be on our best behavior?
That's why I'm
I
not
don't
saying
have
a
any
word.
That's why you're not
authority.
saying anything? Yeah.
I have no authority.
I don't see a badge, but
there's
Nope, not anymore.
There's no jokes coming over here. All the jokes are on the Jeff Alsman side.
No, the nice thing now is I get to teach, all of that. And I don't have to, as much, I don't have to do arresting or, warrant searching, that kind of stuff anymore. But I did enjoy that, though. I mean, I really love working with kids. I've noticed that my students, I'm getting a lot more students now, not just that want to be law enforcement, but they want to work with kids and they want to make a difference. So I think that's really awesome because I feel like that's where I was when I was in college. So it's pretty cool.
So 13 years as a professor, right? You said?
Yeah, I've been here for 13 years.
But how many years did you do the previous work?
I was working with kids for, I think, 3 or 4 years before.
Before doing that?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. I worked a couple of kind of part-time side hustle jobs while I was in college. And one was at a juvenile facility. It was a lockdown, kids in detention. And they were there short term. And then I did juvenile probation. I also worked in the schools, too, quite a bit. Just working with kids. Cool. Yeah.
So tell us in this environment, and it seems like it's improved a little bit here lately.
Yeah.
But for a while, it was kind of rough. What is it about the folks who want to go into that field? Because it's sometimes a thankless job.
Very.
You don't get the respect you probably should. Sometimes very outwardly don't get the respect at all. Why do folks, what is it that's inside somebody that they want to pursue that particular field in law enforcement?
I think for the whole entire system for criminal justice, it's all about public service. You have to want to give back. You have to have that heart to do that. And you can really, when you talk to people that are in it and doing it every day, you can really tell that they have that for the most part. There are some that probably are experiencing some level of burnout because we all do that at some point in our career, right? But for the most part, people really, they wanted to change their community or they wanted to change someone else's life, or sometimes they're directly impacted by the system. So I've seen a lot of people, kids I went to school with, people that I've taught, that have had a bad experience. And they said, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to do the right thing, and I'm going to, prove that point. It is a thankless job. It really is. And you can't go into it going, I'm going to make $1 million and I'm going to always get a thank you, because you won't. But the reward is the kids or the adults who say, that could have been a totally different situation, but you gave me a chance. And I'm thankful for that. Or the parent that comes up to you and says, you changed my kid's life. So that's, to me, why people choose to do criminal justice, or they see something, that they want to make a difference. Especially, I think, in the legal side. I think a lot of people go into being a lawyer because they're like, everyone deserves, a good defense. They deserve their chance for their story to be heard, whether they're guilty or not. And I think people, they get pretty passionate about that. I will say it's not a ton of money, but there's a good. Illinois pays really good.
You got to sell it now.
Well, Illinois pays very well.
It's a ton of money. Get into it. This is great. People are thanking you all the time in this field.
It's like being an athletic director.
Heck yeah. It's building lives. It's building leaders.
So
Changing the world.
I will say Illinois State Police just recently released that they're going to start their troopers at $89,000.
Ooh, say that again.
That's the best I have heard.
Yeah.
$89K. I mean, we're talking in the state of Illinois. I will say that the police departments in Illinois seem to pay significantly better than some other places. I don't really know the reason for that, but I do think that, there's a shortage. If you look around and you look at the statistics, there's a shortage in law enforcement. So one thing they've had to do is up the pay, and they've kind of had to say, okay, so what are the base requirements that we need? And an associate's is the base requirement usually. And so that's why our program's so great, because you get done in 2 years, right? You've got 60 credits and you're 20 if you start at 18. Now you could be a little bit older. And as long as you're 21 by the time of the firearms portion of the academy, you're good to go. So
That's awesome.
we're recruiting right out. And even if we have a student that's a little bit older, I think you have till you're like 36. So you could still have a second.
Can you switch those numbers around?
I mean, I don't know, maybe.
Yeah.
You could be the first.
I think my time has passed me by.
Now that's just for law enforcement.
Matlock was in the courtroom for a lot. He was a lot older than me.
Okay, now but Jeff, see, that's just for law enforcement. Now on the other side, I don't think there's an age restrictions.
Oh, maybe there's a second career somewhere.
That's what I'm hearing, Jeff. That's what I'm hearing. I want to talk about what's it like being a student in your classroom, in your program. Yeah.
Well, I guess I'll just say my students would probably describe me as somebody who is really, really obsessed with criminal justice. It's like my forte. I am in it, and I like to read about it. I like to watch documentaries. I like to do all those things, and I'm encouraging to do that, for them to do that themselves. But I'm also one of those people who, my why for being in that classroom is those students becoming criminal justice professionals. So I want you to do the best job when you get out there, because I know you can do it, and I also, want to show you that you can. And so a big part of why I am a teacher is because I want those people to be the future for what we need.
I like that.
Yeah, I didn't really know my full why until a couple of months ago when I had a guest speaker come into my class, and he said, so my why is this. And I thought, oh, wow, I got to rethink that. And so I did, because I thought for a long time my why was like, oh, I just, I'm passionate about this. I like teaching. I love this age group. And I'm like, wait a minute, no. So, yeah, it's been really great.
Never too late to reevaluate where you are and where you want to go.
I don't think so.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah.
Well, before we let you go, we should certainly say that all of the folks in law enforcement out there, wherever age groups they're working with, don't get the respect that they deserve. And if you see one of them, you ought to tell them that. Let them know that you're thankful for their efforts. They put their lives on the line constantly without even thinking. They're always the ones running in when everybody else is running out of a situation. And, that has been used so much it becomes a cliche, but it really is. It's the truth.